Local Center, Engineers Talk. This continuous knowledge sharing initiative reflects our commitment to nurturing innovation, professional excellence, and lifelong learning among engineers and students. Today's session is indeed a special one, and we have with us an inspiring young achiever, Ms. Aishwarya, UG scholar from the Department of IT, Sona College of Technology. She is recognized among the top 2% in NPTEL design thinking and serves as a founding intern design thinker at IIT Madras. We are proud to have such a talented and dynamic speaker addressing us today. The topic of today's webinar, from problems to possibilities, an introduction to design thinking, is highly relevant in today's world, where innovative problem solving and user-centric approaches are essentials across all domains of engineering and technology. I take this opportunity to thank the host institution and also IEI and also our chairman and honorary secretary and the committee members for organizing these insightful sessions. I also extend my sincere gratitude to all the participants for your continuous support and enthusiastic participation, which has been the driving force behind the success of this engineers talk series. That's why we are in 124th week. Before we proceed, I request all the participants to kindly stay engaged throughout the session and make it interactive by sharing your questions during the discussion segment. Once again, I warmly welcome you all and wish you a very informative and enriching session. Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir, for welcoming everyone. And now I would like to introduce Ms. Aishwarya as keynote speaker of today's session. Ms. Aishwarya is a UG scholar in the Department of Information Technology, Sona College of Technology, Salem. She has taken up a course in NPTEL on design thinking. She is one among the top 2% of those who took up this course. She is also founding intern, a design thinker at IIT Madras for securing top 2% in the course. With this short introduction, I would like to invite Ms. Aishwarya S. to present on the topic from problems to possibilities, an introduction to design thinking. Over to Ms. Aishwarya.
Thank you so much, sir, for that warm welcome. So, should I turn my video on? Sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir.
Yes, your screen is visible.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. So, good evening, everyone. Before I begin, let me ask you a simple question. How many of you have pressed the elevator button more than once? Even though you know it won't come faster, we all do it, right? Not because we don't understand technology, because we are human beings. And that's exactly where most solutions fail. These are designed for systems and not for people. So, good evening, everyone, once again. I'm Aishwarya, a final year UG student, a top 2% performer in NPTEL Design Thinking exam, founding intern as Design Thinker at IIT Madras. And today, we are going to explore how to move from problems to possibilities using design thinking. Let me explain this in the simplest way possible. Design thinking is not about creating better solutions. It's about solving the right problem. Design thinking is not a process, but it is a mindset shift, I can say. Because from asking, how do we build this, to asking, why does this even matter to the user? This is the kind of mind shift that we are expecting out of design thinking. Because if you don't get that right, nothing else matters. So, because many times as engineers, we are solving something perfectly that nobody needs. But design thinking focuses on three main things: understanding people, generating idea, and testing solutions. In short, it's where logic meets empathy. So, let me make this more relatable. So, think about this. We all have gone through such situation, like We use confusing websites. We push doors when it actually says remote control with too many buttons are a bit confusing. We all experience these almost every single day. Here is the interesting part. These are not the failure of technology, but these are the failure of design, I can say. Because many problems exist, not because technology is weak, but because design ignores human experience. So, talking about the evolution of design thinking did not just appear overnight. It evolved from research to industry to global innovation. Nowadays, we see so many MNC companies, including Google, Amazon. Every one of those MNCs are introducing these design thinking approach in their everyday innovation. So today it is used in every little thing, from apps to hospitals to cities to business, because every field now realizes one thing. If you don't understand people, your solution won't work. So, so the core philosophy of design thinking is like every successful innovation should balance these three things. First thing is desirability. Basically, that is what people actually want. And the next thing is feasibility, what we can possibly do with this technology. And the last thing is viability, what makes it sustainable and how long it can sustain. So, even if one thing is missing, the solution actually fails. So, design thinking is about finding that balance. So, as engineers, we all love solving problems, but we usually jump straight into solution, problems, solution, and it is done. But here is the actual issue. We often solve the wrong problem because we don't take time to understand the user. All we focus on is to find the right type of solution. So design thinking forces us to slow down and ask, are we solving the right problem? So these are the phases of design thinking that we are talking about. And this is an iterative process. It is not linear. Every time we learn and try to improve with each phase. The first phase is empathize, and then define, ideate, prototype, and testing. So about these five phases we'll be seeing in the upcoming slides. So these stages are iterative and they're not linear at all because every time at every stage we tend to find something new and we have to review the previous phases and we have to learn from them to improve the solution better. So that's how it works. So it's basically a loop. And now talking about the first phase, I'd like to go with a few examples to understand this better. First, here is an example. People started complaining about elevators because even we would have faced it in our everyday life. We feel like elevators are too slow. And as engineers, we would have tried to optimize the speed, right? But at one point, they realized it was expensive, it was complex, it was time consuming. But someone asked a different question here. What are people actually feeling? So when someone noticed and then realized that people were frustrated not by the speed of the elevator, but they were frustrated by waiting with nothing to do. So they added mirrors. That's it. There was no algorithm involved, no new system, no time complexity, nothing. Complaints dropped, productivity doubled, and elevators they didn't change the design, but the experience they changed basically. So that is exactly what design thinking does. So empathize is basically to deeply understand the user, and I've mentioned few methods here to observe the user because sometimes we cannot understand something about the user by watching them, but we have to put ourselves in their shoes to understand and feel it better. So, common methods used to empathize are observation, interviews, immersion, and user mapping. And then we focus on identifying frustrations and motivations and hidden needs of each and every user because ultimately design thinking is focusing on what the user actually needs. So, um, and that is design thinking. The next phase is define. So, this is the most crucial step, I would say, because as design thinker, it is very important for us to define the problem properly. Because let me give you an example with what we saw earlier. how do we make elevator faster? Is a wrong kind of question to ask, because uh, the solution for that particular problem was not to increase the speed of the elevator, but to change the experience of the user. So the right question is supposed to be, how do we reduce the waiting frustration of the user? So a small shift in the question creates a completely different solution. The problem is not what we think it is. Make elevator faster. It is like making the waiting feel shorter. So same situation but different solution and different way of thinking. And the next phase is ideate. So again, let me just start with an example. Um, Let us take something we all struggle with, like we waking up early. So basically, I am, an alarm person. Set alarm for each and every single thing, but I tend to snooze it all the time. But we wake up early, we set alarms, we all snooze them again and again and again. So what can we do about it? We can think beyond normal ideas. An alarm that focuses, that forces you to solve a puzzle, or an alarm that won't stop unless you start walking, or an alarm that can turn your lights like sunrise. So these are a few ideas that might sound crazy, but that creates real impact, and that's how we find out the real innovation, and that's where the innovation actually begins. So think about food delivery apps like Zomato, Swiggy. Problem was very simple. I don't want to go out. I don't know how to cook. I don't want to cook, in fact, but I want to eat. That is the problem statement. That is where, the big MNC, the $1 billion company started. So the problem was very simple. People were hungry. They didn't want to go out or cook. That small frustration led to something huge. And today we can order anything from anywhere and you can get it within minutes. Because I see all my friends are, completely, they are depending on those applications, because we can order anything from anywhere. That's the real power of a well understood problem, I would say. So basically, the common techniques to be followed in this phase is to brainstorm. You have to think of various solutions that are possible. We have to put ourselves into the user's shoes and identify what kind of solution could satisfy their needs. We have to mind map, and we use sample methods and crazy eights ideation and all. There are so many techniques that are followed in design thinking, basically. So it is very important for us that we have to encourage these wild ideas and stop criticizing them, because if someone comes up with a funny solution, we don't know it is funny or not unless we experience it, or unless it is completely developed. So these kind of weird innovations could become something huge in future. Like back then, in my school days, I used to see Doraemon, which is a famous cartoon, and think, oh my God, who's this boy called Nobita who's, talking to a robot? And now today we are all talking to ChatGPT, like as if it is our AI companion. We are sharing every little thing to ChatGPT and asking for its solution. So back then, something that I thought was crazy is now the biggest, revolution that happened in the tech industry. And yeah, that's how innovation actually works. So creative diversity is actually leading to a strong innovation. This is basically the third phase of design thinking, and now we are entering into the fourth phase, which is building prototype. So this is very powerful, I would say, because design thinking is not going to aim for perfection first. Starts with something small. So we have to start building something simple, and then we have to test it, and then we have to improve it. Because when we fail early, it is better than failing later. We can save a lot of time, money, manpower, and more than we could actually imagine. We can save a lot of things by just prototyping. So it requires some separate effort. It does actually work. So that's how we can efficiently innovate something big. And um, the next phase is to test. So basically, the prototype that we create, we have to test it to identify if the user needs and requirements are actually met. Because it's not just the need that we're talking about, it's about the user's experience that we have to feel and analyze. So testing a prototype with real users actually works. So we are generally collecting feedback. We are trying to analyze the usability, clarity, and the effectiveness of the solution. And based on the feedback, we are just refining every phase of the product that we're trying to build, and then we are improving and retesting. At end, we finally get that huge, proper product. So here there is another example that I like to share. So this is something that was crazy when I started searching about examples for this. Airbnb, we all know, was struggling in the beginning because there was no booking, no growth, and they wanted to, increase their productivity and the growth of the company, but they don't know how. But after some time, the founders did something very unusual, which normally no other founders actually do. They simply went and met their user in person, and then they tried to notice what the actual problem is. And then finally, they realized the pictures in that Airbnb was actually of very low quality, because of which it could not attract the users properly. They shifted from normal bad looking, low quality pictures to professional photographs. Small shift that they did. They just improved the quality of the photo, and that's it. Booking doubled. No technology, no complexity, just understanding what the user needed made the company into something huge and big. And now we see Airbnb is like very popular. So there's no, big problem, big technology that was used here. It's basically the understanding of the user, which played a crucial role. And now, so I've pretty much shared everything about the important phases, the elements of design thinking, and how it is impacting the way we create solution and the way we think and all. Just like any other approach does, design thinking also has its own advantage and disadvantage. So design thinking, creates useful solution. It obviously encourages creativity and it reduces risk, but it takes time and a lot of patience from our end. But that's okay, because and we are obviously coming up with a very meaningful innovation, which is never instant. We went through so many phases to build that one product after understanding the user completely and the experience that they are going to get from the product completely. So at the end, to talk about design thinking, it is definitely a huge, advantage if we go with designing thinking when we are building solutions. So next is like, as engineers, why we need design thinking, because we don't just build system anymore as engineers. We are trying to design experience for the user. And if people don't understand and enjoy what we build, then it doesn't matter how perfect it is not it is not useful to us. Because in the end, it's not usable and it's not useful to. So design thinking is helping us build correct solution with most meaningful ones. Engineers must also understand user experience, utility, and human behavior. And design thinking, when used by an engineer, could help them build solutions which people could actually use and create a better impact in a society too. Because nowadays, design thinking, as I said, is used in every industry, I can say. So industries like I have mentioned here, healthcare, technology, smart cities, education, everywhere. In every field is moving towards only one idea. This human-centered innovation. So, so the next time, talking about the final takeaway. So next time when something frustrates you, we are not supposed to ignore it. Instead, we're supposed to observe it, because that small frustration is actually a signal that something can be improved, or something can be redesigned and something can be made better. So we have to observe the frustration of the user, because it is the actual opportunity as an engineer to find their problem and build solutions. So as Steve Jobs once said, design is not just about what it looks like, but it feels like how it works. So, because innovation is not about adding more, it's about understanding more, and designing for people, not just for system, is more important. So, um, design is how it actually works. Thank you. That's it about my presentation. Sir?
Yeah, thank you, Aishwarya. Participants, if you have any doubts or need any clarification, please type for your query. I hand over the session to Armugam, sir. Sir.
Sir, yes. Thank you. Thank you, sir. And thank you, Aishwarya, for giving your insights on design thinking. And really, is why you have presented wonderfully. Thank you very much for it. And now I would like to request Dr. R. Satish Kumar, sir, the Honorable Secretary of IEI Salem Local Center, to propose vote of thanks.
Thank you, Armugam, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Yeah, okay. Thank you, sir. Good evening to everyone. It's my pleasure to propose vote of thanks. The outset, I thank Chairman Engineer Loganathan, sir. And I'm very happy to note finally UG student Aishwarya very beautifully presented. And, congratulations, ma. You got top 2% of NPTL course, so it's very super to note that. Very good. And you are doing internship at IIT Madras. Congratulations for the opportunity. Good presentation. Thank you very much for sparing your time with us. Yeah, thank you. And I thank Dr. Tangaraj, sir, for having arranged this. And thank you very much, sir. And all Engineering Talk Committee members, immediate past Chairman Tangaraj, sir, and immediate past Secretary Dovmani, madam, Dr. Kumaravel, sir, Engineer Armugam, sir, INR, sir, and Sindhil Kumar, sir, everyone. I thank you, everyone. And thank all the participants, corporate members, committee members, and all the participants. Thank you very much for making this program very purposeful and eventful one. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Aishwarya, thank you.